survey link.
Good morning, everyone.
Hello.
This is Inger. I'm with Family to Family. I am the program coordinator along with the other coordinator of this program, and it's Christina. I'm sure everybody should remember. I think we only have a few new people. So while Brian is off taking care of some, getting some more information with you guys to help you through your daily planning, I'm going to start off by saying, guys, we've started our small groups. If you're interested, it's on the line. You can also go online and register for those classes as well. So, and then just remember, as you finish the training, please go online and complete the surveys for us, please. It's very important for this program that we have all surveys completed. And anything else, Christina, you want to remind them of?
Just that I'm going to post the link to the survey. So anytime you have to disconnect, please remember to fill it out. It's very brief. You won't take even a minute. Thanks.
We do appreciate, just remember to go online for our small group. Is really detailed. We look at planning for the future, and we also help you with your profile. It's very similar to some of you guys working with a manager may have done a profile. So it's similar to that. It's just writing out what you expect to happen for what you expect for a good life. What says to you makes a good life. And so
exactly.
we're there to help you.
Our first online session, 3 sessions, and our first one is, well, I mean, the session is 3 classes, and our first one is going to be tomorrow. You can, and then weekly for 2 more Fridays, and you can sign up at our own website, familytofamilynetwork.org.
And we also have in person as well. We still have that offer to you guys as well. That's on the website. And then you also have your online where you can participate with us. So if you guys are going to participate tomorrow, it'll be the same time, 12 to 1. And we look forward to seeing all of you.
Yes.
So, okay. So we're going to get started. Brian, everybody knows Brian. Brian Smith, he is he's our president of our Family to Family Network board.
The board of directors.
Yes. And then also, is Tanya here today? I didn't see.
She's busy today, so you won't be hopping on.
Oh, okay. Okay. And we also have another one of our co-workers, Judy Blake is here with us. Say
hello,
hi,
everyone.
Judy.
Hi.
We really try to support everybody that I come to her, she comes to mine. So just know it is a family. When we say family network, we're a family. We support each other. And so that's what we're going to be here for you guys as a family, to support you and guide you to make sure you have everything you need to have a planned, successful life. So we're going to go ahead and get started with Brian. Again, I'm Inger. For those who have just signed on, I'm the program coordinator along with Christina. So she will be emailing you off and on. Just remember, I always send a reminder of the classes, of the trainings. So, and I try to send it early in the morning on the day of the training so you guys can go ahead, because I know my emails get lost. If you send it next week, I won't remember. So just remember, if you're looking for it, it's always should be around 9 o'clock that it'll be coming to you guys. So we're going to go ahead and get started with Brian. We want to welcome everyone. If you have any questions, don't forget, Brian, are you going to do your own questions, or you want us to read them out to you?
Mike, if there's questions from the individuals in
Yes.
the audience.
Yes.
If I gloss over one that's in the chat, just stop me.
Okay.
For anyone who's listening, just raise your hand, unmute yourself. I mean, I want it to be as much of a dialogue conversation as possible today, since we're going to go kind of down a granular path of talking about insurance. So it's whatever. Just stop me if there's a question in the chat and I gloss over it and didn't see it. So it doesn't matter to me. Okay.
So you guys, and those who feel that kind of shy about asking the question in person, you're welcome to text one of us and we'll get or Brian directly, and he will answer any questions. So no question is different. Someone else may have that same question that you're wanting to know about. So don't be shy. So, okay, I'll let Brian take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So along with the lines of that, there's no question that's off limits. I always want you guys to understand, personal, professional, doesn't matter. I'll always tell you what we're doing for my family, what I've done in the past for my wife and my brother and my mom and everything. So please ask any type of question. It's really, we want to be here as a resource. We want to give you the education. And we really want you to just be comfortable with what's going on from a conceptual standpoint. So today we're going to talk about, so remember, it's been a series, and we started the series a few months ago. We took a 30,000 foot overview of what life care planning is, what the steps need to be to implement some type of financial and legal and life care plan for your dependent with special needs. And then since that very first workshop, we started to go granular in different subjects. So we've talked about trust, we've talked about the ABLE account. Today we're talking about insurance, so life insurance. The reason why we talk about life insurance and spend some time on the insurance piece is because it is one of the most efficient ways of passing assets from mom and dad down to son or daughter. And generally speaking, life insurance is tax-free and it's guaranteed. So we utilize life insurance a lot. You need to be comfortable with what is life insurance. So today I'm going to share the screen and we'll kind of jump into the agenda. We're going to talk about what is life insurance, what does it do for the family, what are different types of life insurance, right? You hear terms, you hear permanence, you hear all types of things. Some things to consider when deciding the types of life insurance, and then we'll go through 3 scenarios of, hey, this is a very common situation. This is the type of insurance that was placed to increase the legacy. So at the end of the day, that's the name of the game. Increase the legacy, leave behind the most amount of assets, allow mom and dad to retire and spend their assets, and give the life insurance proceeds to the special needs trust. But first and foremost, Inger is going to go through one of the exercises, like a big picture, entire situation. So yes, we're going to get granular today, but it's always important to remember why. Why are we going down a granular path? Think big. What's going on as a holistic picture? What are all the levers that are out there? What are things that you can turn and twist and change in your plan? So we think big picture. So Inger is going to start off with that exercise first. So Inger, do you want to go ahead and walk them through this?
I'm ready. I'm going to walk you guys through this. This means that it's holistic. When you say holistic, it's just a simple word of saying whole. It says you take the whole life experience that this person that you're supporting, and we look at this and remind them that these are the things that they're going to be doing daily, weekly, monthly throughout their life. So we just want to make sure we cross all the domains. And so we'll start off with daily life and employment. We know that they're going to be working. So we want to know what kind of job they want to do, what kind of communication they need, what is going to help them be successful. Then we look at community living. Where are they going to live? Are they going to live at home? Are they going to live in a group home? And so all those things you're deciding with them. So again, you have to make them be a part of their planning. So, and then also when we talk about healthy living, of course, there's COVID out there. We have to know how are we going to be successful and make sure that we keep them safe and healthy. And then also looking at nutrition, we want to definitely look at that. How are we going to support them? Are they going to be cooking for themselves? Are they going to be making, someone is going to come and provide those meals for them? And these are all things about planning. And then safety and security. Staying safe and secure in their homes. And so we look at, legal rights as far as what they will need to be successful, if they're going to need a guardianship, what kind of emergency. So say, for instance, like my mom, she has MS. And we always wonder if she likes to be independent, even though we know that she needs, a little bit support. And so we want to support her and letting her think that she's doing it on her own. But in the event, she has this monitor that she can push. And I know some of you guys have seen it on TV. So if we're not around and we step out, my dad goes outside in the garage and messes around like he normally does and tear up something. If my mom needs help or an emergency, she can push that button and someone is right there. So you might want to be thinking about that, especially with parents that live on their own. So really think about safety and security when you're planning. And then social and spiritual, that means, if that's something like, I always use my dad. My dad loves going to church. So we need to make sure we plan for that. How is he going to get there? Make sure he keeps those friendships and relationships throughout his life. As you get older, you do lose a lot of friends. So we want to keep them involved. We want to, add some spice to their life. Hey, let's go to a movie where you meet, or go somewhere where you can meet someone. So just always remember, it's important to have friends. It's always to have someone to speak with. It can always be your family members. You might want to talk to a friend next door. So keep them involved in their community, but also make sure if church is something that they need or want to do, make it accessible to them and help them out. And then as far as engagement, building, advocacy, I always say you have to be an advocate for yourself, for them, and your entire family. So assume and let them make their own choices in life. Let them be a part of that plan that you have for them. And that's the only way they're going to be successful. Because if you're doing everything for them, are they going to be happy to some of the plans that you make for them? Probably not. So always remember to help them, but let them make the choices. Okay, we have another slide I want to share with you guys. Is this integrating support? Okay, we have in our arsenal of things that we want them to do, what we want them to be a part of, what they have and they're looking for the futures. So this plan is really about what you have and what you want to have for the future. And that could be funding. Are you eligible for any community supports? Are you Metro, Gold Card? Anything like that they may not have, but they want to pay a part of it. And then I always say, my dad again, he was telling me he doesn't want to drive anymore. He's 79. And he said, you know what? I don't want to drive. I want to be in the back seat. I want somebody to ride to drive with me. So I was thinking, okay, then we need to get you on Metro, because we want you to be able to go anywhere you want to go. And if you plan for it, so that's a thing too. In the community, you can get them involved, and that's free. If they're eligible for that, you can give that to them, so they don't have to be stuck in the house and they don't have to wonder and wait for somebody to pick them up. They planned it with Metro, and so that's another community support that they have that they can use. So when we talk about the community base, you can get them involved in some of the activities. Christina and I, we have at Trinity Hall. And I was walking through Trinity Hall and I noticed all the support activities that they have going on. So that's a good thing to get them involved. And then just a lot of things that they have going on there that, people can take advantage of, and it's all free. They just have to sign up for it, or check with someone, sign up and become a part of that. And that's another way of supporting them and having relationships outside of the family, and be able to communicate with and meet new people. And then we also have when technology changes every day, and I learn every day about something about technology. So we want to support them in that. And we know that they have so many gadgets out there for them. So whatever they have now may not be working next week. So we want to support them in the future to make sure that they have updated information that they can use and can contact, because phones are become small computers now. So just make sure they have an up-to-date computer. And so we're going to let Brian complete the rest of, because we're talking about strengths and assets now. And the insurance is an asset to have.
Yeah, so and to piggyback off of this exercise too, guys, is when we think about the future, that goes into deciding how much insurance, if insurance is the way to go. And so it's always important to start with the end in mind. What do I need in the future? What does my dependent need? What do I want for them? What type of social activities? What type of living arrangements? What type of level of care? That all goes into quantifying the need, right? So that's all very, very important stuff to keep in mind. And so when we talk about life insurance, again, we're going to transition to just life insurance today. What is life insurance? Life insurance is thrown around a lot. You've got permanent, you've got term, you've got stuff through work, you have stuff through organizations, associations, but what is life insurance? And so these 4 bullet points here really simplified it as much as possible. So first and foremost, it's an effective way of preserving what you've built. And what do I mean by that? So if you remember a couple of presentations ago, we've talked about the time period that we're planning for. right? Mom and dad retire at 60, 65. So let's just say mom and dad have an IRA and a 401k, maybe a Roth. That IRA is supposed to last for 30 years. Mom and dad retire at 60, life expectancy, let's say, is 90. After mom and dad die after 30 years, that IRA, that Roth, that 401k is now expected to last another 40 to 60 years for that child's lifetime. That's 90 years that this money is supposed to last for. So how can we preserve what you've built, what you've saved for, what you've worked for all those years? And one of the concepts that we talk about and we go through with clients, and what we'll talk about today, is spend your IRA down, spend your 401k down, spend all of your assets down, and have life insurance at the end that is guaranteed to be there. That way you can have the fourth bullet point, a peace of mind. You don't have to worry about inflation. You don't have to worry about cost of living going up or market returns being poor or taxes going up. You have that life insurance there at the end of life to pay that lump sum to your child's special needs trust. It helps maintain that quality of life because we can quantify. We can say, hey, look, yeah, sure, we only have a couple $100,000, maybe $1 million in a 401k, but we can 2, 3, 4 times that with the life insurance policy. We can increase what we've saved and what we've grown with life insurance at end of life planning. It creates money for the family, like we just talked about. If you only use your 401k, your IRA, your home to fund your child's special needs trust, that's what it is. At day of death, that's what it is. It doesn't increase. The market tanks a few months before, goes down 30%, like another COVID happens. And within a month, we see the market pull back 28%, and you pass away in that time period, there is no redo. That's what your child gets and inherits. So insurance is a way of quadrupling, sometimes putting in 2 times more than what you have as assets. So high level, insurance is a way of leaving a legacy, a very, very strong legacy. So what can it be used for? Like we've talked about, providing that lifestyle that we want, eliminating any debt. So if mom and dad just bought a house, it's a pretty nice house. They don't want that spouse to inherit debt if mom or dad passes away. They don't want the trust to inherit debt on that house. They can eliminate the debt. If we've got a married couple or a single mom, or parent, which is even more important, is income replacement for the other spouse or other family members as well. Not just the child with special needs, but the other children, brothers, sisters that might be minors, brothers, sisters that might be getting on their feet right after high school, right after college, is a way of replacing that income that parent provides for the family. Purchasing real estate. Sometimes families are renting right now, or sometimes families have this idea of, hey, I live in Houston, but when I'm gone, my child's going to move across the country or move across the state to another city. And so this insurance or this cash influx at the end of life can be used to purchase a home or real estate in that trust. And so we can have a nicer home, a more fitted, suitable home for that next in line caretaker, that child with special needs. And again, what we've talked about and what we'll continue to talk about, leaving that inheritance. It can also be a good way to say, hey, look, everything that I have is going to go to my child with special needs. I might have a small life insurance, maybe $100,000, maybe $200,000 life insurance policy that will go to the other kids, so they don't feel like they're disinherited, or they don't feel like I'm not leaving anything. That's another concept that some families do, just to share the wealth among the kids if there's 2, 3, 4, 5 kids there. So who should consider insurance, right? Insurance might not be for everyone. If you're really unhealthy, if you're up there in age, 65 plus with some health issues, insurance is probably not the way to go. It's going to be really, really expensive. But insurance should be considered if you're a parent or guardian. Obviously, if we're caring for someone who has a disability, that they're going to be financially dependent on whatever you as a guardian or parent leave behind. So that's pretty important. Anyone, again, spouses or other kids outside of the children with special needs, anyone who depends on you financially. Most of the time when we ask, hey, mom, dad, what do you think the biggest financial asset is to the family? Most of the time people say my house. Well, that's true, but it's actually your ability to earn an income. If you couldn't work, if you couldn't earn that income for your family, they're going to be set back years financially. So protecting your ability to earn an income, not just through disability insurance, but through life insurance. heart attack happens, cancer happens, unexpected death happens, we need to protect your ability to bring an income to your other spouse and to your family as well. This is more so the second to last bullet point here. This is for business owners. This is for some of the higher net worth. This is a way to provide a benefit income tax free. So if we have an estate tax issue, this is a way of replenishing the estate money that gets paid to taxes. If we've got a business owner, this is a way for the business owner family to be bought out of that business. You know, if dad runs a sandwich shop, mom's probably not going to want to run the sandwich shop and take care of the child with special needs. Mom's going to want to be bought out. She wants to get rid of that business so she can focus on caring for her child. So that's what we call that to buy sell insurance. You have insurance in place for business owners so that their family gets bought out in the event that someone passes away. And most of the time, the life insurance is income tax free. So if you're married, it's about 23 and some change. If you're single, it's about 11.7 million. So 23 and some change million, 11.7 million. If your net worth is way below those numbers, then the life insurance is going to be tax free, which is very, very important. I have life insurance. I fall under the last bullet point. I have life insurance that's set away and separately from my family. It's not because my estate's large at all. I'm way below that number, but it's because I'm next in line to take care of James. Right. So if my mom passes away, I'm next. And if I pass away because I'm the oldest first, I don't want that burden and responsibility to fall on my wife to have to support James financially. I've got $2 million on myself to support Rachel and to support my brother. So it's very, very important for not just guardians and caretakers, but next in line as well to consider insurance. Any questions on what it is, who should consider it? Anything? Did I skip over any questions maybe in the chat? Nope. Okay.
Brian, can I ask a quick question?
Go for it, Judy.
So I many years ago stacked my policies. So I bought one and then I bought a second one that was for another 20 years. So I'd always have that extra coverage. Well, now on the first one, I'm obviously a lot older because I'm going to be 59 and I know the premium is going to go up, but with somebody like me who has a 26-year-old, I will always need disability regardless of the premium because there isn't that large estate. Am I correct?
Yes. I mean, yes.
You just have to bite the bullet and pay the premium.
You do. And, you know, conceptually, we got to find the most efficient ways. And so that's, you know, you said the word stacking, we just call it laddering. And so we ladder.
What was the word?
Laddering, like laddering. So you've got ones that are longer, ones that are shorter.
Okay. Okay.
And so the idea is so if we're working with a family, let's just say, and budget's an issue, right? We've got to find the most death benefit for a fixed budget. We all know we're all on a budget, right? Cash flows are finite. Only a certain amount of money comes into the household. We'll ladder policies. So we'll actually do the opposite, meaning today, when we think about it, today is the most your son's going to need because of his age. In 20 years, he'll be 46. So that lump sum doesn't necessarily need to be as big. Yes, cost of living and inflation rises, but from 26 to his life expectancy versus 46 to his life expectancy, that's a shorter time frame. That money doesn't need to last as long. So what we do is we ladder policies. We get, say the need's $1 million. We'll get like a $500,000 term and a $500,000 permanent policy. Because in 20 years, we're probably not going to need that $500,000. So we let it fall off. Who cares? We've got that permanent policy to be there that will last your lifetime. You can't outlive it. The premium's fixed. So that's what we call laddering, is we split it up over a few different policies. So it's more cost effective and it plays into, look, yes, do we want to make sure your child doesn't run out of money? But we also don't want to be overkill. I highly doubt anyone on this call really is like, hey, I want to make sure there's $20 million left in my son's trust when he passes away. That's overkill. That's a lot of money that you could have spent on yourself or spent on the other kiddos or given to charities. So most of the time it's, hey, we want a cushion, but we don't want to overdo it. We don't want to over insure ourselves just because.
Right.
We want to make sure we're accurate, but we don't want to overkill. And that's part of quantifying the need and building those terms and those ladders. So yeah, it's something similar to what you did, Judy.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Awesome. We'll keep on moving along. So what types of policies are out there? And so if you're taking notes, we're going to do a T-chart. I'm a big favorite of T-charts. Keeps it simple, helped me get through college. T-chart. On the left, you'll have term, and on the right, you'll have permanent. There's a lot of different terms, and there's a lot of different permanents, but high level, there's term and permanent. Term is just like it sounds. For whatever amount of years, 20, 30, 15, 10, 5, that is the amount of time that you're insured, that term. After that time frame, the premiums go up dramatically if you keep that policy or you let it fall off. So what would be some examples? We'll go over why you would use term. I consider it like a Band-Aid, something that provides protection for a short period of time that once it falls off, it's okay. Just like when your Band-Aid falls off after the wound's healed, you don't need a Band-Aid where you got a scratch when you're 3 years old. It's going to fall off. That's okay. Same thing with term. But what we use is permanent is exactly like it says. It's permanent insurance. You cannot outlive it if it's funded and structured correctly. And so that's what you're saying is at my life expectancy, I need to make sure X amount of dollars are there through my investments, through my insurance. I know at 90, 92 years old, my son or daughter is going to need X. And that's what we saw for permanent insurance. So we'll go over a few examples and what that looks like. So term. One, it provides a guaranteed premium. So your premiums do not increase every single year. It's guaranteed throughout that term. And it's guaranteed death benefit. So you know, no matter what, X amount of dollars will be paid. It is typically the lowest premium insurance. Don't mistake it for the lowest cost insurance, lowest premium. Why do I say not lowest cost? I'm a financial guy. I look at cost as an opportunity cost. If you don't die within those 20 years, that premium that you paid over 20 years goes away. There is no return on investment. There is no cash coming back to you. It's gone. It's just like your home insurance, that cost of home insurance. The reason why I say cost versus premium expense is because permanent, yes, the premium is higher. But like I said, you cannot outlive it. You know that you're putting money into a contract that you will get a return on investment for. So that's why you got to think about a premium instead of cost. The terms are the lowest premium. Lowest cost of insurance is what it's called, COI. So the lowest premium for a set amount of years. And you'll see the years here, 1, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. The way I describe term is think about it if you're a parent and you've got, let's say, 3 kids, ages 8, 6, and 4. You're probably going to want a 20-year term so that if you die in those 20 years, at least you're putting your other 2 kids through college. But after they're out of college, you might not want that insurance anymore. So let it drop after 20 years. Let it go away. But the child that's maybe 6 years old that has a special need, you want that permanent insurance. So again, I use term for short-term needs, for set amount of period needs, very, very low premiums, and it gets the job done. And when it falls off, we're okay. We can let it fall off. There is, though, and sometimes, term insurance that is convertible. And what I mean by convertible is you can take your term insurance, say 20-year term, and convert it to a permanent life insurance contract. So say you're a parent, cash flow is a little tight right now. There are some expenses, had to get a new AC unit for the summer, whatever. You can buy term insurance and convert it to a permanent insurance within that time frame so that you don't outlive it, that it is going to be there no matter what, that it will be guaranteed to be paid to the trust. So you have that flexibility too. Start low in premiums, and then when cash comes through, 5, 6 years on the line, you can convert it. And that's a plan too that a lot of families do. Permanent insurance, again, the second bullet point, the premiums are going to be higher. Just be ready for that. But you can't outlive it. So the way I sell families is, hey, would you rather pay $4,000 or $5,000 a year, knowing that your child's going to get $150,000 or $250,000, or would you rather risk that money in the stock market? And whatever it is, the day you die, that's the amount of money that your child gets. So again, it goes back to that peace of mind. Permanent insurance provides that peace of mind. On most permanent insurance policies, there is a cash value. So the cash value is accessible to you during your life. You do not have to wait till you die to, obviously, your estate receive that cash. You can access that cash value early. Again, tax-free cash. So yeah, if you have a $600,000 policy, you pull $100,000 out, there's $500,000 there, but there's still $500,000, and you just got out $100,000 in cash. So there are some benefits there to permanent insurance as well. And we break these down into subcategories. So like term, you have 5-year, 10-year, 15, 20-year. Permanent, you have whole life, you have universal, and you have variable. You are taking notes, and you are like, whoa, there's a lot of information. Just remember, whole life is the most conservative. Universal life is like a moderate conservative. Variable is aggressive. So if you're used to investments, if you're used to just making decisions based on risk, conservative, moderate, aggressive, and we'll go through that. Before I jump in and kind of go into this, any questions over term, any questions over the idea of permanent insurance? I want to make sure everyone's up to date, understand everything. If I need to re-explain, I can.
So this is Judy again, no surprise. So it's not that I've never wanted to do permanent life insurance. It's, oh my gosh, it is so expensive.
Yep.
But I know what you're saying. You're paying in the short term a lot of money, but you're making up for it in the long term. Do I understand you correctly?
That's correct. That is correct.
Yeah.
You're paying a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
but you're knowing it's going to come back either through the cash value for yourself or through the death benefit for whoever. And that's part of it. It's all a budget discussion. And you always just got to find the solution that works for you and your family. And that's every single family is different. So
I got you.
So I have a question.
Go for it.
Yeah, my name is Cesario. I'm kind of in the same situation Judy is. I'm looking at, different types of insurance, and then I'm thinking, life changes, there's ups and downs. And so what happens if, for instance, you lose your job and cannot afford paying these higher payments? So you lose everything you have already built with the permanent insurance?
Not necessarily. And so I will.
And I'm sorry, just to complete the question, I forgot. Let's say I retire, so my level of income decreases and may not be able to afford the same level, of payments. So kind of both situations.
So the way you would have to structure it, all three of these have the capability, maybe not the universal, but the whole life and the variable for sure has this capability. One thing that you've got to look at and run the numbers is those two situations occur a lot, especially in Houston. I mean, many families call me a year, getting laid off, oil downturn, whatever. We've got to get creative with the policy. Because permanent insurance policies have a cash value and like whole life insurances have dividends, you can use the cash value in the dividends or in the variable cash value in the growth of the cash value to pay the premiums. So there's eventually a time in the future, usually in whole life, it's about years 16 through 20, depending on your underwriting. Variable is about 15 to 20 years, that there's enough cash value, growth, dividends in the policy that you can use some of that cash value dividends to pay that premium. So you don't have to. But if you open like a whole life, you open a variable life, the first 3 or 4 years, something happens, you retire, you get laid off. There's a high likelihood that you can maybe buy 1 year's worth of premium with the cash value, but that's about it. And so you wouldn't want to purchase a whole life or a variable life if you're going to retire in the next 3 or 4 years. And you definitely don't want to purchase one if you're not sure what your job security is going to be like in 6 or 12 months. And that's just full transparency. You'd probably be better off with terms or a guaranteed universal life, which is lower premium, but it's guaranteed, no cash value. So those are kind of your options there. It's really crucial for the first 3 to 4 years.
Good, thank you.
And we have another question. Here, I asked to unmute it. You can-
Okay. Hi, my name is Mabel Greer, and I have a question sort of like the previous one, as far as could you downgrade your policy, perhaps, like instead of, if your financial situation changes, is there a way of taking it, kind of like rolling it down into another type of a smaller policy per se?
Yes, you always have the option to lower the death benefit on your permanent contract to lower the premium.
Okay.
You're
Okay.
absolutely
And
right. I'm sorry.
how does that, looking at it, you've done this financially, could you give an example of like what that looks like?
Yeah, so let's just say family starting out, they're a younger family with a child with special needs, or they're starting to ramp up their savings, for example. And so we're in the early infancy stages of planning. We're going to need a lot of insurance. Like I talked about with Judy in her first question, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 15 years from now, that lump sum need's not going to be what it is today. It's probably going to go down a little bit. And so even on those years when we do our annual reviews, we might lower the death benefit $25,000, $50,000 every 2 to 3 years. Again, going back to, we don't want to overkill. We don't want to have so much life insurance that we literally made our life stressful because we had to pay the premiums. And now our kids are going to pass away with $20 million in their insurance, or their special needs trust. So that's why we'll revisit it, and you could pull it off every 3 to 5 years. That's about the time frame that we say that's where we're comfortable pulling back the death benefit, because our job is not to have the parents pay the premium for life. We want to get the cash value or the dividend to pay the premium. We want to get to the point where it's self-sustaining and mom and dad can spend all the money that they have and the life insurance is there for the kids. So there are some situations where that happens. And it just really depends on if mom and dad gets a big inheritance, $500,000 inheritance from their parents. Probably don't need that much in insurance. We can probably cut it by $150,000, $250,000, the life insurance death benefit. So there are a lot of situations where that happens.
Okay, and so it would depend what the market is at that time as far as the rates, like when you go from one rate down to another?
No, if it's on permanent insurance, when you sign a permanent insurance contract, you lock in that cost of insurance for that policy. So I'm specifically talking about whole life, variable life and universal life. It will depend on the time that happens, the cost of insurance at that year. But whole life, you lock in that cost of insurance at time of contract.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
So, absolutely. Anyone else got any quick questions? Awesome, we'll keep on going. So types of permanent insurance contracts. So like I talked about, whole life is the most conservative, stable, permanent life insurance contract there is. There's limited pay whole life insurance contracts. So you can say, hey, Brian, I got an inheritance from my family, or I just sold my business, or I just got a nice severance packages. I can afford a little bit more premiums in the first 10 years, but after that, I can't. So you can do limited pay whole life contracts that you pay for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years till you're age 65, and you're done. You cannot put another dollar after that limited time, and the policy is guaranteed to be there no matter how long you live. So there are options for limited pay. The policies offer a guaranteed level premium. So the premium is guaranteed on whole life contracts never to go up on the policy for life of the contract. Universal and variable, there is no such thing as those guarantees. There's some on the guaranteed universal life, a separate one, but I'm not going to go too far into that today. But for generally speaking, in interest rate, universal life and variable universal life, there could be a potential that you have to pay more in your later years. So again, we always like the conservative route for peace of mind. Universal life. The universal life provides a guaranteed death benefit, but not a guaranteed premium unless you pay the guaranteed premium cost. So there's an additional cost with that. The universal life contracts, though, do offer flexible premium. So what do I mean by that? Say mom and dad are paying $3,000 a year for the first 10 years. Year 11, they want to pay $1,000. And then the next year, they'll go up to $3,000 again. There's more flexibility in how much you put in the earlier years for universal. You can increase or decrease those premiums. But if you mess with the increase or decrease, you've always got to make sure that that policy lasts for life. Just to pay $3,000 one year, then $500 the next year, and then maybe $750 the year after that, that could jeopardize the guaranteed portion of the contract. So you always want to be careful there. You want to be very, very careful. Universal life contracts usually work with interest rates. There'll be a cash value for a little bit, and then it'll completely go away. Universal life contracts were invented when interest rates were very high in the 80s. They're struggling right now, to be completely transparent. They're struggling a lot right now in low interest rate environments. So that's why our recommendation is either whole life or variable. Don't go in the middle, commit to one side or the other. Variable universal life is the easiest and best way to think about it is think of an investment account with life insurance. You're investing in stocks, in bonds, in mutual funds, in indexes inside of a variable universal life contract. But there's a death benefit if you die. So a lot of people, and by a lot of people, I mean people in their 20s, 30s, sometimes early 40s, VULs, variable universal life contracts, make a lot of sense. Make a lot of sense. Usually the insurance premiums are a little bit lower than whole life. But if you're 20, let that insurance policy ride, invest it, get the growth, get 10, 11, 12% in the market, a couple of years, 8, 9% most years. Let that policy ride. And then when you're turning 60, 55, you don't want to pay anymore, that cash value is accumulated in the stock market so much that typically that cash value can pay for the contract moving forward. So variable universal lives make a lot of sense. For younger people. For individuals that are 45 and above, it doesn't. Cost of insurance is very high, and you're really, really hoping that there's not going to be a bad year in the market in the beginning. Because if there's a bad year for someone who's 60, it means they're going to have to pay higher premiums when they're 70, 75 years old. There's not enough time for that policy to grow. So again, it just depends on the reasoning for the policy. It depends on your age, your health underwriting class. But variable universal life makes a lot of sense, generally speaking, for the younger individuals. So why are we talking about insurance? We've obviously discussed in the beginning the need when we're talking about a dependent that's going to be financially dependent on a special needs trust. But there's one policy that we haven't talked about too much, and that's the second sub point of bullet point 2, a survivorship policy.
Brian,
This is yes, Judy.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. Forgive me.
Go for it.
So I know what term is. You're buying it for the 10, usually in my case 20 years. So the difference between whole life and universal life is what again?
So whole life is dividends. So I guess I didn't really talk about that. Whole life pays dividends. So like Mass Mutual, Northwestern, New York Life, Guardian, those are all whole life dividend paying companies. There is no such thing as stockholders. The policy holders are owners in the company. So they get dividends. So whole life insurance cash value growth and premium gets paid by dividends that the company pays. So like Mass Mutual's dividend was like 5.6%. So that's going to the contract. Universal life is interest rates. So think treasury bills, all that.
T-bills, okay.
Variable is stock market returns.
Yeah, which we know is volatile. So if somebody like me, again, you know my age, were to purchase a either 250 or $500,000 policy, I would pay the premium over how many years? Or is it I have to pay it all at once?
You don't have to pay it all at once. At your age, it's probably going to be 20 years, 20, 21 years. I would recommend either a guaranteed universal life to age 105 or a whole life, not a variable. Those are going to be the two policies that would make the most
Right.
sense.
So how long though am I paying those premiums? Because I know with my term,
Mhm.
you're paying them forever.
Yeah. So for these, like I said, 20 years, 20, 21 years, depending on
Oh,
the
I'm
cash-
still paying. I'm still at the 20 years, but after 20 years, I'm done.
Yeah, on the whole life because of dividend.
Mhm.
On the guaranteed universal life, you're paying for life, but it's a fixed amount. It's not going to go up.
Right.
So you're in a kind of a tricky situation because you could go either or, but again, it depends on exactly your question. How long am I paying this for?
Yeah. And the reason I ask is because I'm one of those people who believes I'm a big believer in insurance.
Mhm.
And I have long-term care insurance as well.
That's
And I just got a note, a letter saying it's going up $100 a year.
Yeah.
I mean, excuse me, $100 a month,
Yeah.
starting in like 3 months.
Yeah, that's happening a lot to long-term care insurance. By the way,
Because
guys,
more people are cashing in.
yeah, long-term care insurance, we're not talking about today, but it's so
Right.
important that you guys examine that because that is the number one way of depleting your assets. is
That's
long-term.
exactly right. And that's what I can't afford to do. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I know that wasn't your topic today, but when you mentioned an increase, it made me think of that.
Yeah. So you can do life insurance and long-term care insurance together.
That's what oh, okay, okay,
You
yeah,
can, it's called a hybrid policy. So you can do that in the same policy and those premiums are guaranteed to be locked in. You might not have as much long-term care insurance,
mhm,
but at least the premiums are locked in. You can combine those two.
okay. And Usha had a question as well. I
Yep.
think Mrs. Greer's question was already answered. And thank you, this was great. I have to log on for another meeting, but this was
Thanks,
great.
Judy.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, Usha, you want to go first? Oop. Nope.
Yeah, sorry, I would like to go first.
Go
I
for it.
have question, which policy has living benefit?
Define what a living benefit is. Because there's a lot of definitions in my book for a living benefit. So what living benefit are you?
I don't know exactly the definition, but the insurance what we do have the living benefit. And my understanding is that, if we need money, if we'll be disabled, if we need money to support ourselves, we can get the money.
So
It's not disabled, that, but it's like if we are in need, then we can get the money.
So most permanent insurance policies, like I said in the beginning, are going to have a cash value that it sounds like you're describing the accessibility of the cash value as a living benefit. But my hesitation, and again, my biggest thing is I'm trying to be as transparent up front with you guys as possible. So I always want to tell you the pros and cons of each. If you withdraw all of your cash value out of your policy and you never pay a premium again, your policy is going to go away. They're not built like that. You're not supposed to take out 100% of your cash value. So the living benefit that you're kind of describing, I would want to be careful and I would want to examine the contract so that you don't over withdraw or take out of it. Living benefits, there's a lot of definitions in my book, like what Judy and I just talked about, long-term care, living benefit. There's disability benefits tied into life insurance. There's accelerated death benefit for into life care where you can access your cash value. So it just depends on what contract language exactly your policy says. I'd be able to tell you the ins and outs of it, if you can get me a copy of it, I'll break it down. We'll go into the fine writing so you can get a little bit more familiar with the living benefit, how it will work, what your max is, what your minimum is. Did that answer it?
I don't know much about it. Yes, I think, yeah, you answered it. Yeah. Thank
Email me,
you.
we'll have a conversation afterwards. We'll look through your policy
Sure.
together.
Okay,
I'll
sounds good.
Absolutely. I'll help you understand it. And I'll understand exactly what it is too, if I can see it.
Sure, thank you.
Absolutely. Is there any other questions? Okay, awesome. So we're just getting to the survivorship. And I'll tell you guys, most of the families, most married couples, even divorced couples that are still cordial with each other, most of the time we're buying survivorship, second to die policies. One, there's two principles around this. One, it's cheaper. It's the cheapest type of permanent insurance you can get. Lowest premium insurance. Why? Because the death benefit is not paid until the second person passes away. And which leads into the second principle. Why do we want a policy that only pays when the second person passes away? Well, when we're planning for someone with special needs, they don't need the money if dad passes away, but mom's still around. Mom needs that money. So there'll be a different policy to support mom. The survivorship policy is going to fund the special needs trust when both mom and dad are gone. That's when the child needs their money, not when one spouse passes away and the other spouse is still there caring for them. So the second to die policy is really, hey, this policy is meant for the special needs trust. We're only going to use this policy for the special needs trust. It's going to fund the trust when both of us are gone. We're going to pay less money and get more death benefit. Because from an insurance carrier's perspective, their risk is over two people and not one person. So for someone to get $1 million policy, it's a lot cheaper if mom and dad get $1 million than it is if mom gets $1 million, dad gets $1 million. It's a lot more expensive that way. And again, it's overkill. You only need $1 million. Why go get $1 million? So survivorships are about 90% of the policies that we help families get here that are, again, married or divorced that are still cordial with the ex-spouse. If you're not in the same line as the ex-spouse, don't even think about it. Just get an individual policy for yourself. Any questions here?
I guess, so if the first person dies, the spouse needs to continue paying the same amount?
If you're young enough, you can get what we call riders, so things added to survivorship policies that say in the event of one of the spouses passes away, the premium is waived. If you're older than the age of 54, you can't get those riders. But if you're younger than the age of 54, you can get those riders that says, hey, if my husband or my wife passes away, the premium's waived for me. I don't have to pay the premium anymore. Same thing for disability. If one of the spouses becomes disabled, the premium's waived as well.
Okay, I don't qualify.
I'm sorry?
Thank you. I don't qualify.
So
Thank you.
you can have a rider that if you and your wife say get a survivorship, if you're young enough, you can have a rider on a policy that says if you or your wife passes away and the surviving spouse is still there, the premium is waived, meaning no more premium payments. You've got to be 54 and younger though. So if you're 54 and older and you have a survivorship policy, if you or your wife passes away, you or your wife, whoever survives, still has to pay that premium.
Sure, I understand. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. So this one, again, we all know our kids can't get more than $2,000 in their name if they're receiving SSI and or Medicaid. So to protect that, we always want the trust to be named as the beneficiary, and the life insurance proceeds will be paid to that special needs trust. The last bullet point, tax-free. So we don't have to worry about paying the IRS. for 401ks or IRAs. We don't have to worry about required minimum distributions. It's tax-free going there. Oh, we have a chat. Oh, we have 6 minutes. Okay. Thanks, Inger. I'll speed through it. Again, this goes back to the beginning with Inger when she was talking about big picture, quality of life, lifestyle, safety, social environments, healthcare, level of care costs. All of this needs to be considered when deciding the insurance. What's the need? What are government benefits going to provide? And what's that gap? And we backfill that gap with your investments, the home value, any property value, and of course, life insurance. Once you've decided that, it really comes down to your health, getting health offers from a multitude of different companies. So we usually shop about 40 different insurance carriers and say, what's the best offer you can give us? Because at the end of the day, it's life insurance. We don't want to pay a lot of premiums for the insurance if we can get it half the cost at another carrier. So we always want to know what the options are, but you got to consider your health. Do not apply for life insurance if you're a tobacco user. Please stop for 30 days, 40 days, get it out of your system and apply. So here are some quick scenarios. We've got to run through this quickly, but mom and dad are both 40 years old, child with Down syndrome, 8 years old. And then Lily's got an older brother with no special needs. So they have term insurance that ends in 50 years. They've been setting aside money for themselves. Mom and dad have to consider themselves too. You've got to save for your retirement too. They have a trust, but it's not funded. That's the right way of doing things, by the way. You don't want to pre-fund the trust for no reason. So if they got the cash flow, they're saving for their retirement, they're going to get a survivorship. So this is where the survivorship would work. They're going to have a term that ends in 15 years. That 15 years will cover Mark in the event that mom and dad pass away early. That survivorship is going to be there no matter what for Lily, no matter how long they live. So very easy, high-level example. This is a very common example. Whenever, let me see. No, it's the next one. I'm sorry. When we talk about employer-sponsored life insurance. So this one right here, Carlo has, oh, this is it. Carlo has insurance through his work. Work insurance is usually the cheapest insurance. It's usually one of the first places we look. However, when you retire, you get off, that insurance goes away. So you definitely want to take that into consideration. You definitely want to say, hey, that will cover me until age 60, 65, 70, but I need a permanent insurance after that. And that's what this individual did. Took out a permanent insurance for the difference or the need at age 70, because that's when it's going to be there forever. The term insurance is going to be there up until 70. So you don't need to put all your eggs in one policy. You can have it like that laddering. The term falls off, the permanent's still there. It was cheaper. It's more effective that way. Again, this is another one with a survivorship. So there is no other child, but there is Tommy who has special needs. And so this will provide a survivorship for $1 million to the special needs trust. And so this is, again, survivorship makes a lot of sense, especially in divorces. Things get really, really ugly. Husband wants this, wife wants that, assets get torn to shreds, attorneys cost an arm and a leg. One thing that you can do in a divorce is have a survivorship. That way you don't have to set aside any of your community property assets. You can just have that survivorship to pay to the trust in the event of a divorce. And that happens a lot as well. Again, your mom and dad, you both have insurable interests. You do not need to live in the same house. You do not need to live in the same city. As long as you guys are cordial and able to talk it out, get examined, we do it a lot. I mean, we just did one for one that's not cordial, but he agreed to a medical exam. So we were able to do all that. Again, very, very cost effective from a premium. Please, please, please fill out the survey. This helps us get feedback. This also helps us track everything. This is a program that we're working with the state with. So it does help us show numbers, give feedback, what else we need. It also helps us for upcoming workshops in the future that aren't scheduled right now to say, hey, we're going to tweak it. We want to add some more things. We want more case design. We want more real world examples. Dumb it down for us a little bit more. Keep it more, high level, whatever. Please give us feedback. Please fill it out. It doesn't take too long. But is there any questions for anyone that's on this call.
Just one quick one. It looks like the Survey Monkey link is different from what was posted in the chat window to what we're seeing on that last slide. Is there a
Ingrid, do you
difference?
have any-
If it is, let me know, email me and I will send you the link for the
Well,
right one.
Well,
That's
just tell me
okay.
which one is the correct one.
Yeah, the one I posted in the chat is correct right now. We're sorry for that.
Okay, so the 081221 is the correct one.
Yes, the one I
Yes.
posted on the chat, I can post it again right now. Mhm. Thank you.
Okay, thanks to everyone. Brian, thank you. You always do a
Absolutely.
marvelous job.
Thanks.
Guys, go ahead. If there are any questions or you need anything from us, we'll be sending you this presentation. And if you still have questions, we can go ahead and email Brian and he can get those answers for you. And
Oh,
again,
Can I
yes,
talk about?
Brian?
so
Yes.
There's one that I forgot to talk about real quick for everyone who's on here. Anyone? I wish Judy was still on here. Dang it. Okay, but I forgot about this. 2 seconds, guys. So there's a program with Mass Mutual called LifeBridge. This is specifically for families who make anywhere from $10,000 to $40,000. So this is for the lower income families that need a plan for their children with special needs. Mass Mutual will give them a free 10-year, $50,000 term policy. So it's something's better than nothing. It's not definitely going to last forever. The money, it's only a 10-year term. But if you're between the age of 19 and 42, you make between $10,000 and $40,000. Please reach out to me. LifeBridge, Mass Mutual will underwrite you if you pass with health. They'll pay the premiums and give you a free 10-year, $50,000 term policy. Sorry, forgot to mention. Yeah, that's there.
Okay, so if you guys need further information about that, certainly go ahead and we can reach out to Brian and get the information. Thank you again to Dave, so we can make sure that you all receive the right survey. So if
Right.
anytime that you see something, you go, "Ooh, that's not right," well, please let us know, because we want to make sure that we give you correct information. So if you have any questions further with us, and remember, we still have tomorrow, we have the small group taking, it'll be from 12 to 1. You are certainly welcome to register for the class, and we
Mhm.
hope to see you all there. And thank you so much again for joining us. If you have any questions, still don't forget the
Mhm.
survey. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you all. Thank you, Brian.
Bye. Can you stay on, Christina?
Sure.